Hi there, and welcome to the Greater Phoenix Area Real Estate Market Update for October 2023. My name is Cody Riddle. I am the real estate broker and team leader for our company called the Riddle Group at eXp Realty. Super happy to be here and to present this to you every single month. We post this on our YouTube channel. And it's the third Wednesday of every month that it gets posted. So if you miss seeing it live, because some of you are here right now watching, if you miss seeing it live, then you can always go there, and I would love for you to interact. Let me know if you like the content. Let me know if you hate it. Let me know if you agree with it or if you want different things covered next month. I am here for you, and I want to make sure, as I'm going to share with you right now, I want to make sure that you are getting the information that you deserve. That is our mission statement, right? To educate, lead, and inspire you to create a better life for yourself through real estate, whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, or maybe you want to invest and use real estate as an asset class for your portfolio. And all of the above, you should be able to take the information I give you today to make a better decision for yourself and that portfolio and your family. Okay, most agents know what's happening. They do. Good agents understand what's happening. But great agents can explain to you what's happening. That is the level that I hold my entire team at. They should be able to sit down and explain to you what's happened in the past, how we got where we are today, and where we're going to go in the future. And it really should be based on data, right? Not a gut feeling that tells us, this market's going to be fine. Let's go ahead and use data to back it up and to really share with you to make your own conclusion. We'll give you our opinion, the stats and the data, and then you can form an opinion for yourself. And that's the promise I give you, and how our team reacts and behaves in your best interest, to protect your interests. Yeah? Okay. All right, we are here to dispel some myths that are currently being touted in the marketplace. And when I say touted, these are on social media. They are headlines in newspaper articles. They are used more or less as clickbait, right? Let's jump in and see how we can demystify some of this information. Myth number one, foreclosures are increasing. Foreclosures are actually increasing, but here's the myth around it. They, meaning the author that puts this in a tweet or that puts this on a news article, yes, they are correct that foreclosures are increasing, but they are nowhere near the levels that they were back when we had our real estate market crash, our most recent crash that really actually is considered to be a crash, 2008, 9, and 10. Let me show you this, because people want to have and find validity around their thoughts and opinions that this real estate market's going to crash, and they use this and they read these articles. Well, you can't use it because it doesn't make sense. They're increasing, but they're increasing from the days that we had the moratorium, the foreclosure moratorium, where literal homeowners could not, banks could not foreclose on homeowners through those pandemic years, those unicorn years for real estate. They could not foreclose on them if they couldn't make their payments. There was a moratorium. So of course there's going to be an increase in the overall number of foreclosures, simply because there were very little to none during those last couple of years. So you can see by this graph, look at how tiny those numbers are for 2023. They're just not in a space where it's going crazy or so far and so high like it was back in 2008, 2010, where it was just off the charts, right? And that really did create, was a contributor to our crash at that time. Nowhere near even any clue that it's moving towards that right now. And you can see by the graph, if nothing else, just see those tiny little red bars aren't even close. Yeah. Okay, myth number 2. Airbnbs will crash the housing market. I don't know if you saw, I did hear about it, but I didn't see it. It was a tweet that talked about how Airbnbs are the whole Airbnb idea is going to crash. It's going to crash the market because there's going to be so many that have to be unloaded. Well, it turns out that data was sketchy at best, but let's actually talk about the Airbnb situation. And it is a space that is in a bit of a flux at the moment. Let's look at that. What we know, what we have got from this little survey here, let me move this. This survey from Realtor.com and Census-wide, they just did it this year, is that people would consider renting their home. 59.8% of folks, if they're looking to buy another home or rent another home, that they would actually consider renting the home that they are in. So if you are one of those people, well, this is the conversation we need to be having, right? Maybe you're feeling like that could be a great source of income to have a renter in there. Maybe the idea of owning a rental is appealing to you, like the 20 and the 18% of these folks in this survey. And my question simply is this: have you ever been a landlord before? Have you ever experienced what that is like, right? So there's some pluses, there's some minuses, but it is something that you really need to get some good information from a trusted source before you jump into that pond, right? In addition to that, let's talk about some different areas and what's happening for the rental market, especially and with emphasis on the Airbnb part. Okay, Airbnb ran into, or folks that had Airbnbs, short-term rentals. We don't even have to just use Airbnb. VRBOs, all short-term rentals. And New York City, let's use them as an example. They had some laws that were passed that directly affected the ability to rent a property for a short period of time. So much so that 18,000 people that had short-term rentals on the market in New York City took them off the market because they were affected by the laws that were passed surrounding that you cannot do a short-term rental based on whatever reason, because there were many, right? So 18,000 people were affected by those laws that were passed and no longer could do a short-term rental. So if you had a property that you were looking to use maybe a portion of the year and then realized I can no longer do that, you've just lost what you thought would be a considerable amount of income. Yeah. Now there's the flip side, and that's where we get to our market. So in 2016, the state of Arizona passed a law that bans all of its cities and towns from capping their number of short-term rentals. So at the start of 2023, Phoenix had over 20,000 short-term rental units. What happens when you have a massive influx of supply? There was the hint, right? Supply. Demand, right? The demand goes down because now all of a sudden you have so many choices that the demand for that property or a property goes down. So some of those folks that got in really early, and I remember we helped lots of investors purchase these darling little homes, and then they made them into great VRBOs and Airbnbs. Where are they now, right? With all of these. So you got in early, that was good. But at this point, there could be just a little too much competition for you, therefore making your ROI not quite as good. So we'll talk about it here in a little bit. It may be time to cash in, right? Because you have so much equity in that property right now. Might be time for a 1031 exchange, buy more properties, and change the way that you are choosing to be a landlord. And that is where I can talk to you so much about it. that's super exciting, that takes you kind of off of the worry of the short-term rentals and keeps you out of the headache that you might have in having just a straight up renter. Okay, let's take a look. Myth number 3. Wall Street is buying every house in America. So yes, again, there are lots of articles out there and social media tweets and people frustrated saying that this is happening. Now, I can't tell you that it's not happening at all. We actually represent, here in the Valley, we represent a massive institutional buyer. And they are willing and prepared to buy properties here. The difference of working with them now versus back a few years ago is their offers are far, far lower than even market value. So they're coming in much lower, 80 cents on the dollar, 70 cents on the dollar, somewhere in there. They are not buying up America. Well, let me just say it this way. They are not buying up Phoenix. I promise you that. I represent one with very, very deep pockets. And guess what? They just aren't. If those homeowners had the education, right, through people like me, they would know and realize that they should do it a little bit different, and in the end would win and get more money than should they go with a lower offer. Now, there's always the convenience. People sometimes do want to sell fast. They want no showings. They have family situations or personal issues that make it so they can't and don't want to wait for a buyer. They want that quick cash offer, and therefore we can come in and we can do that for them. But others don't. You have to have options, and your realtor should be able to share those various options with you. As a matter of fact, they should be able to bring to the table all of those options as well. And that's what we do here. Make sure you have what you need to make a quality decision, and also bring in that cash offer that you might like. So if that's something that's interesting to you, reach out to us, because we can bring a cash offer day one to you. Good stuff. Okay, moving on. Okay, so back to these big institutional buyers. Let's move this. Total purchases by the size of investor. Okay, so we have the iBuyers. Those are your open door people, OfferPad. These are folks that have and are buying some properties. We all know who they are. Now you got those 1,000 plus properties. That second pillar right there, those are your institutional buyers. They are the lowest one in the number of homes owned through an investor, right? That institutional buyer that you may be worried about they're not the investors that are out there really crushing it. Let's look all the way at the end, the 1 to 9 properties that are owned by a mom and pop. Those are the investors that really own the most, and by a landslide own more. So when you're thinking it's Wall Street buying up all these, no, these are you and me. These are people that are getting in, seeing real estate as an asset class, and wanting to turn it into some cash flow for themselves. I'm going to give another plug. I want you to reach out to me if this sounds interesting to you. Got a very cool program that we can share. Okay, these are the sales. So the percent of all sales by the size of investor. Again, look at your institutional buyer and seller. They are not even close, 0.3%. You go up to those folks that own 1 to 9 properties, they are the percentage of sales that are the highest, nearly 20%. So as a realtor, right, for those realtors that are watching this, and I know there's lots of you that watch this, that is a big percentage, right? So that's 20%. You should be in that space, able to work with buyers and sellers that are investors and have that language down and know how to speak their language and protect an investor's interest just like you can a regular buyer and a regular seller. Okay, more potential sellers are deciding to rent. And I threw this in here, Southwest, that's 10%. So they are deciding to rent their home. That's all good. We can help them do so. There's some other things we're going to talk about a little bit later that may help you decide one way or another if that's the route you want to go. But either way, it does show that we're up to about 10% in the Southwest of folks that are looking and deciding to rent. Okay, this is another thing that may or may not affect that decision. Apartment construction is roaring along at a 40-year high. Again, that goes back to supply and demand, folks. What does that mean? There's going to be more choices for renters, which likely will lower rents. That's the way supply and demand works. Everybody's going to be jockeying for those tenants. So is that something you want to go into? As that is the future. That's what we're looking to see. Is that something you want your property, right? You're going to decide to rent knowing that you're going to be up against more supply in these very early upcoming years. And that is where here we show it, where rental owners that are planning to sell their homes in the next 2 years to come. So this is just helping you see, right? That's about a 32%. That means we'll have what? More inventory. We didn't expect, especially considering the 7% mortgage rates, and it's 7% plus is right. We're at about a 7.75 interest rate right now. We did not expect to see more new listings, but that is in fact what is happening. New listings tick up this month. This is across the country, and this is a graph from Realtor.com, but let's look closer to home. New listing count, this is Maricopa County, August, and I shared this last month. Nearly 8,000 properties came on the market. 7,750 homes came on the market. Very unusual uptick for August. September, not quite as many, but still 5,316. This is a bit of an uptick for us heading into the fourth quarter. The months of inventory though, so you home sellers, don't let this discourage or scare you. Your months of inventory are still incredibly low. And I see that kind of is going off the screen there and sharing with you. But basically what I'm saying, our sellers are in a prime position to sell right now. Your inventory, the demand is so low. We just put a home on the market the first weekend, and this is an adorable house. Not fully updated though. It's not like it was, oh my gosh, lights out. And we had 2 immediate offers the first couple days on the market. Now, right, what does that tell you? We're still in that supply and demand space that is not one's outweighing the other. We are really, home sellers could put homes on the market and they're going to sell. And we're going to talk about values coming up and how you'll see values are not decreasing. Okay. So let's get into mortgage rates and talk about those homeowners and whether or not you are somebody that's looking to sell. Clearly, look at 70.7% of homeowners all across the nation have a mortgage rate of less than 4%. Holy moly. Wait till you see a couple more of these slides though. It gets pretty crazy. So of course, if you're under that 4%, are you someone that's looking to sell? Probably not. Who may be though? Who may be in those categories still be looking to sell? Here's what we have learned. Mortgage rates are less relevant to older homeowners. About 1 in 4 U.S. homeowners, 26% say that high mortgage rates would not impact their decision on when to sell their home. And of those, 26%, 43 say it's because they wouldn't even need a mortgage. They would be using cash to buy the home. So there's a pretty high number of people. What would that be? About a 13% of folks out there that when they purchase will be purchasing with cash. So mortgage rates don't affect people with cash. As a matter of fact, what is that cash buyer going to be able to do? They're going to be able to negotiate a little bit harder, even in a seller's market, because cash still is king. You don't have the financing contingency that the other folks would should they be getting a mortgage. Mortgage rates are less relevant to older homeowners, and there you go, folks. Those baby boomers at 35% and those Gen Xers at 23%. What do they have, right? What do they have currently that the millennials, not many millennials have, but some do, and the Gen Zs don't, or at least at a lower percentage? They have equity. Massive amounts of equity. So when I told you, wait till you see some of these coming up, this is what I was talking about. National average over the past 5 years, the percentage change in home prices, 57.3%. High for sure, but look at us. Look at us. We're sitting right there in Arizona, the darker blue number at 76.4%. Increase in home prices over the past 5 years. Holy moly. You have made a lot of money if you have owned real estate in these past 5 years. This is the graph I was referring to. Americans are sitting on a tremendous amount of equity. 50%. 50% equity. My gosh, because I'm so excited about this. 68.7% have paid off their mortgage or have at least 50% equity. And that's where I was going with that. Look at the 38.7 though. There are folks that don't even have a mortgage. They own their home free and clear. Are you one of them? Because if you are, you have so many options afforded to you, right? Of things and ways you can grow your portfolio. But then look at that next group, 30%, up to 50% equity. Oh my goodness. $400,000 home, right? You bought it at $400,000. It's worth $600,000 now. Oh my goodness. Just lots and lots of equity sitting in folks' homes. And quarterly gains added almost $13,900, and the average U.S. homeowner now has about $290,000 worth of equity. That's just the average U.S. homeowner. That is an extraordinary amount of money, folks. Now the key is can you turn, what do people say? It takes money to make money, right? Are you going to turn that money into something that changes the trajectory of your family's wealth? And there is a way to do that for sure. Okay, so 3 major advantages to having all that equity. Ability to be an all-cash buyer. Without question, you sell that home, you have all this equity, you're downsizing, you're going to be able to buy a home with cash. No question. Next house, will interest rates affect you if you're buying a home with all cash? No, it will not. Will interest rates affect you if you have a massive down payment? They will not. And that's where you need to reach out to us. Let us show you the programs when you have that massive amount of money for a down payment. How we can get that payment that you are moving into to be low. And that's the thing that we need to educate you with. So small mortgages, right? Short-term mortgages, yes, like those ARMs back in the day that went kabooey. Are those really a bad thing to do when we have the forecast of thinking those interest rates are going to come down? It's a choice, and it's something you need to be well aware of, right? More importantly, let's get a monthly investment, and with that large down payment, you can get that monthly investment, otherwise known as your monthly payment, to be something that's super affordable, even with a 30-year fixed loan. So lots of ways you can go with it when you have a large down payment. And then that third option for those baby boomers, it is really a great option to have the comfort that you have that kind of equity in your house to now be able to move into an assisted living and be able to afford it, right? Something maybe nicer than you would have been able to do had you not had these two massive, what we're calling unicorn years, otherwise known as the pandemic years, to grow that equity and be able to afford something. So either nicer or where your family doesn't have that financial burden of having to pay for it. So all good stuff with all that equity. Let's talk about the grandparents' wish. Now this is something that's kind of funny because when we do role plays in teaching people how to talk, teaching our sales crew how to talk to the public, I often use that we are moving to go be closer to the grandkids because it is something that is used and we hear it so often out here. It says never underestimate the power of grandchildren, especially when it comes to lifestyle and financial decisions. Recent data shows that many baby boomers are relocating further away from home than they used to be so that they can be closer to their grandbabies. So that really goes hand in hand with, you have that equity and you can make that move to be closer to them. Whereas, the pandemic years, you were made to stay further away. Empty nesters dominate the home as home sellers. 77% have no children at home. So those are the folks selling right now. Yeah. And that is quite possibly because of the grandparent wish to be closer to their grandbabies. Or maybe it's to move to a warmer climate like Arizona. Or maybe it's to move into assisted living. Whatever it is, that's what's happening in the market today. Current home price appreciation. Now we got to have this conversation. We've just been talking about, right, all this equity you have in your home. Is there a risk or is there a fear that you may lose it? Home prices are not falling anymore. The surprisingly quick recovery suggests that the residential real estate downturn is turning out to be shorter and shallower than many housing economists expected after mortgage rates soared last year. And that is what's happening here in Arizona. And I'm going to show you a few things here, but we had our downturn, certainly not a crash. We had our bit of a downturn and now we're going right back up. From January through August, housing demand stabilized, resulting in relatively stable home prices. By August of 2023, national resale home prices fully recovered from the declines experienced in the second half of 2022 and now exceed their April 2022 peak. Let's take a look though locally. This is nationally, but let's take a look at what's happening locally. Okay, these are all graphs from everywhere that is going that we can possibly pull from, right? That has shown us what has happened, given us the overview, and every single one of them look the same. Case-Shiller, FHFA, CoreLogic, Zillow, Black Knight, and Freddie Mac. They show you from the beginning of January 2022, they show how those prices went up. That's appreciation, all those green bars, appreciation. Then it shows, look what happened July, August, September, October, November, some December, some even January of this year, show that they declined. That is over now, folks. It is over and we have appreciation now. It's just happening at a much, much lower level. But what this means is home prices today will be greater and higher than, home prices today will be lower than home prices a year from today. They will be greater a year from today. Maybe not by a ton, right? Maybe not by massive escalation, but they will not be less. And that's what I'm trying to get through and trying to educate folks to really realize that this market, there is no crash that's coming. It's not happening. Month over month price change. So we can go to our southwest area and see the national rate of appreciation is 0.8. They're all green bars is what I'm trying to say. Look at this. So people, and there has been talk, and I'm in all these mastermind groups, right, of people who want to know what's going on in Phoenix because they're hearing that we're just tanking and we're getting hit hard. Look at right here. You see Phoenix as a 1%. Let's take a closer look. Okay, this is Phoenix, and this graph is a little different, and I want to commend the folks over at Cromford. These are statisticians, much, much smarter than me, and I use their data often here in my market updates because they know what's happening. They do this on a regular basis and have every bit of data down to really legit the penny. So take a look at this. Average sales price, it peaked in June of 2022 at 600,746. Today, it's 575,589. This is the entire greater Phoenix area, but it is on its way up is the point. We've already seen the decline. Now it's back on its way up. Really, really important for all of you looking to make some decisions. It's not going to go up fast, but it's going up. And the next one is the average sales price per square foot. People love, love, love to talk about sales price per square foot. This is an average of the greater Phoenix area. So yes, if you live in Scottsdale, it's going to be much higher. If you live in Surprise, it's going to be a bit lower. So take it with a grain of salt. This is average for the entire greater Phoenix area. When we get more specific, it'll be with you and for your home when you reach out to us. But in May 2022, the average dollar per square foot was $305.95. That was the peak. Today we're at $292.83. See the graph? It's going up. Let's get there then. Let's talk about the future now of home prices. High mortgage rates have slowed additional price surges, with monthly increases returning to regular seasonal averages. In other words, home prices are still growing but are in line with historic seasonal expectations. So here's a way to look at it. Oh, let me get this. Okay. So price movement. These over the last 48 years, and that's just an incredible amount of time, right? This is how monthly averages of price movement. Now, where this gets completely relative here is when I bring in this. Home prices are still, wait, let me share with this one. And this is where it makes sense. I'm comparing that last graph to just 2023. Okay, so 2023, right here, negative 0.5. I actually think this should be a red bar, like I explained earlier. So that happened in January. That's when it was still a little bit down. But now look, this is appreciation. Remember, the black is just a 49-year average. It doesn't mean that just because we're higher that we're going up in a massive level. It just means that we are going up higher than the average right now. We are going up. Now, this is the key from here, from April on, right? You see these numbers are less than. Here's what's really important. It just means that the appreciation is decelerating. It doesn't mean that it's depreciating. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. It does not mean that prices are coming down. It just means that they are appreciating at a lower level, but they are still going up. Nevertheless, home prices are still expected to re-accelerate and reach mid-single digit growth rate by the end of the year. Now that's core logic. Take it for what it's worth, folks, but at least you have some data now to do some noodling, yeah? 2023 year-end home price forecast. So you have got all three of these: the American Enterprise Institute, Zillow, Fannie Mae, Home Price Economic Survey, HPES, and we're going to talk about them here in just a minute, and then MBA and NAR. NAR is the only one, the National Association of Realtors is the only one saying that prices will actually go down, right, be less than by the end of this year. But if you average out all three or all six of them, you have 3.3%. This is where we were going. The Home Price Expectation Survey. This is just a nationwide panel. You can see it's made of over 100 economists, real estate experts, and investment and market strategists. So you got a lot of people in the room, right? Let's take a look. Their estimated home price performance. For this year, 3.32%. 2024, a little bit less. 2025, 3.24, and it goes up from there. This is home price performance. The increase from December to December to December, year over year. This is what they're forecasting. So this is what I'm telling you. If you are waiting for prices to come down, they are not coming down. Get your foot in the door, right? If you have to buy a home in a slightly different location, just do it. It may not be the perfect exact one where you're not quite, the affordability is not quite there, so you got to get somewhere else. Get your foot in the door. Real estate is an asset class that is worth having, and we see over the course of history, prices have gone up. So all you're doing is creating and building your wealth by owning real estate. Today's topics, now we're going to dive into, we just did the state of the market. These are 5 things you need to know when choosing a realtor. And I'm going to fly through these. I do these every time, but it is really important when you are choosing a real estate agent that you are picking a pro. Like I said at the beginning, you want somebody that really not just knows about this and not just understands this, but can actually explain it. Explain it and make sure everybody understands. And then furthermore, let's talk about these few things that you should be looking out for as well. Number 1, will your realtor unequivocally let you out of your listing agreement if they are not doing their job? Well, we will. It's called an easy exit listing agreement. And no question, it's the boldest claim we make, because if we're not doing the job, you can tell us to go pound sand. Do we have a database? When you're speaking with realtors, right, you're looking to sell your home, you want to ask them, do they have a database of active buyers that they can actually show you that matches their house already in their database? That is something that we can do at length, not just one buyer, but many buyers. We already have them in our database. We call them our buyers in waiting. Number 3, can you show me actual results compared to other agents? This is an important one because our results go back 25 years of data. I have been here for 25 years selling real estate, and our team has over 5 decades of experience. So knowing this is what we've done over all those years on average, you know we have the staying power and the knowledge to do what we need to do to protect your interests. Number 4, do we use professional photography or do we help you stage your home? Without question, yes on both. It's not just enough to do regular photography. It's not enough. People can take phenomenal pictures on their iPhone. Not enough these days. You've got to have, and if they're a realtor really good at taking photos, are they really good at negotiating then? Are they really good at marketing? Maybe they should be a photographer. But you got to have somebody, there's a professional photographer on our payroll that gets paid to take the best photos for twilight, the best video, drone videos, the best daylight photos. We've got you covered. On the other side, staging. We help you do that. We have our gal, she comes in and she's going to tell you exactly what to do. Occupied staging or you may have to bring some furniture in, and then we will work with you on that as well. Last but not least, can you provide testimonials from past clients? Yes, we can. If you look on Zillow, if you look on Google, we have hundreds of testimonials giving us that 5 out of 5 star review. And we do want you to read that, and we do want you to compare us to whether it's your friend, maybe your friend's in real estate, and you feel like it's probably the decision I should make, but is it the right decision, right? It might be the right decision in your heart, but is it the best decision for your pocketbook? Really important that you understand what you're getting when you hire a realtor, and we want you to check out those testimonials, and we want you to compare us to the rest. And the last thing, the 5 mistakes to avoid. I want to make sure you have these. If you call us or if you don't, at least you have this info. If you are looking to put your home on the market, you need to avoid not having a marketing strategy. You have to have a crystal clear marketing strategy with your realtor that you've both agreed on. Overpricing your home, just don't do it. The market's in your favor right now, but don't ask too much. You're going to end up staying on the market, stagnant mass, and you end up getting less. And we have these examples to show you on where homeowners have done that. Not smart. High days on the market. Nobody wants what other people don't want either. Avoid the mistake of not doing open houses and not having a sign in a lockbox as well. Now, we know this is a personal, without question, it's a personal choice. And you can decide one way or another, and we're going to support you because in the end, you're the one that makes those decisions. But we just want to share with you that the impact of having it is actually really important. And we could show you in the listing appointment why and what happens when you do have those things. But if you choose not to, we're still going to work with you, and we're going to take care of business. All right, thanks you all. Again, Cody Riddle. Please like and follow here if you're watching on the YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, like, follow, subscribe to our channel. We are here for you. We want to be your source for all things in the greater Phoenix area of real estate. Take care. Mwah.